Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. Well, good morning. This is Jim Stordahl, and I'm talking to you, podcasting to you from Ankeny, Iowa, a growing, bustling community, about 70,000 population. We're about 10, 12 miles north of Des Moines, in the heart of Iowa, the most flown over state in the Union. Now, I'm retired from the Postal Service, retired from driving a school bus, retired from driving a motor coach, tour bus, and my search for adventure continues. I've been appearing in a number of commercials here in the area, and which is surprising when you hit 70, but I guess they still need dimension on camera. A full-figured senior citizen with a full head of hair. Now, for me, I retired early from a 30-year career in the Postal Service. I retired in 2008, finally giving in to my struggle with depression. And, of course, there is absolutely no help in the Postal Service when it comes to mental health issues. That's why when people say going postal, everybody knows what that means. There is no help. You hide it. You don't talk about it. Because if you do, your career is over. And when you do, I proved it. My career was over. I was looking for help from my depression and my anxiety, and there was nothing. I've had a broad range of customer service and management experience. Early out of high school, I worked as a fry cook at Frederick's Happy Chef in North Mankato, Minnesota. I moved on up to Minneapolis and worked as an orderly in the hospital, and got to know all the ambulance drivers and got hired by one of the ambulance companies. That was a good 4 or 5 year spin of work. Then I joined the Navy to grow up, to sober up, to find myself. And that's another story for later. I got out. Had a couple of options, working for a radio station, working for a TV station, working for the fire department, working for the police department, going back to the ambulance business. I signed up with the Postal Service, not really thinking that that was going to be a 30-year career, but I knew that there were very good benefits if the longer you stay. I started out as a kind of like a mail handler, strong back, strong arms, unloading trucks at 4 o'clock in the morning out in Bloomington, big suburb on the south side of the Twin Cities. And from there I moved on up the ladder to letter carrier, joined the letter carriers union, and worked at a couple of different stations. Whenever my seniority would come up, I would move to spots where the addresses were closer to each other. They weren't a 50-yard run between houses. And then I moved on up the supervisor chain of command, and then finally to postmaster, meaning I was in charge of the place. And I've been postmaster 5 different times. And I've been officer in charge 3 different times. I've been in offices with 5 people, and I have been the postmaster of Appleton, Wisconsin, which had 210 employees. We had 70 city routes and 65 rural routes. And I had 7 supervisors and 2 secretaries and an auditor, and I'm telling you, that was quite a challenge. They had a union office, letter carrier's union office, right in the building. That made it somewhat challenging. I also worked as a communications manager for the Postal Service, and during those 6 years, I was able to get special assignments. We called them details in the Postal Service, and I was assigned in Washington, D.C. as a speechwriter for the Postmaster General, and those were 2 great summers. I ended up with, bringing my wife and kids out there at the end of that assignment so we could visit our friends in West Virginia and Connecticut, and also tour and visit all the sites in Washington, D.C. So I've gone from loading trucks to working at the Postal Service headquarters. I've gone from carrying mail in 50 below wind chill up in Minneapolis to managing post offices in 3 states. My bipolar disorder made me very restless and erratic in my actions. I was always looking for the grass being greener on the other side of the fence. I interviewed more than 50 times in 8 different states. I was not aware that I had one curmudgeon that was given the axe to my career back here in Des Moines. That's another story. We'll work on that. Alongside my postal career was a 22-year journey through 4 military organizations, from U.S. Army Reserve to regular Navy to U.S. Naval Reserve. Then, finally, my last 4 years was with the Iowa Army National Guard. I went to boot camp twice. Army, Fort Ord, California. Then, 8 years later, Navy boot camp in San Diego. I went from light weapons infantry to first sergeant of a public affairs detachment in the Army. During the U.S. Navy boot camp, I won the American Spirit Honor Award as the top recruit out of 1,760 recruits. My bipolar II disorder surfaced at awkward times, and I struggled to advance. I did use my college communication skills to become the primary on-camera reporter for a monthly half-hour video news program seen by all the ships of the Atlantic Fleet. That was kind of exciting because I was on camera. I got to put on makeup, dress uniform, fix my hair, and then on the weekends when I'd go to the exchange or the commissary, some guys would come up to me and they say, "Gosh, you look familiar. Have we served together?" And I said, "I may have been on the camera or on your TV during the time that you're eating your evening meal," because I was the anchor. I was the chief reporter of a video news program called Telescope. As the father of 5 daughters and now grandfather to 9, which includes 7 boys, I was caught off guard when my youngest daughter showed severe signs of mental health challenges. She began her fall at age 14, going through the alphabet from ADD to ADHD, then personality disorder to bipolar disorder. It took a long 15 years of traveling a bumpy road, from acting out, being brought home by the police, to dropping out of school, to incarcerations, to suicide attempts. It was a team effort for me and my wife Charlotte to get Betsy to a place where she can finally live on her own. The struggle has taken a heavy toll on the entire family. But Betsy is doing well today, working as a nursing assistant at a senior citizen home. She does very well with the memory care section. Along this journey, I was diagnosed as bipolar II, the second leading form of the disease. They have told me, a couple of counselors have told me, that I have been living with the disease for more than 50 years. I started journaling because I followed Betsy's lead, because she was journaling to help get her thoughts organized and out there, and I started journaling, and that has turned into 5 books on living with and coping with bipolar disorder. And the books are self-published on Amazon. Bipolar Dad, Scatterbrain, Bits and Pieces, and Straggler. My most recent book is called The KMA Syndrome. And that's all about the history of our country, where the Trump era laid out for all to see and remember. For me, the disintegration of our moral fiber started long ago. It was small and hidden in the backs of our minds. It was the quiet reactions to a variety of stimulation. We baby boomers were mostly value programmed by the Great Generation. You could say some things in public, and others needed to be kept in private. Now we're a jumbled mess of everyone wants to get in their 2 cents worth. Then Mr. Trump came along with a song that appealed to a growing population that had stopped waiting to be heard, the part of the population so very tired of being left out, the woe is me crowd, the where is my piece of the pie people, the ones that no longer want to wait to be treated like they thought they should be treated. The I Do Not Care Society has been spawned by the hell no we won't go protesters of the 60s. They have grown into the mess we have today. If you don't like what you're being told, the likely response today is to tell your foe, kiss my ass. Or KMA for short. We will never be the same. That book, The KMA Syndrome, is on Amazon. Less than 200 pages, less than $10, if you wish. The book I just put out is called Send My Mail to the End of the Trail, a variety of short stories and memories from an Iowa grandfather. What will happen when no one cares anymore? I talk about working on the book about how nasty we've turned out. Increasing unemployed and homeless. A real rude KMA attitude. Elementary kids dropping the F-bomb. Lack of discipline in the schools. Rude treatment of each other online. Politicians working for the 1%. We have been severely weakened as we are confronted by the corona pandemic. Personally, I am very concerned about this nasty virus, that it will expose the rotten core of our very fragile society. My book goes through a number of random thoughts, and it's all about mental fitness, working on mental fitness during this COVID pandemic. We're over a year now. And now the latest news, vaccine resistors are still subject to the virus's menace. I'm going to close out today with the editorial printed in the Des Moines Register. Want to know what can happen if you refuse a COVID-19 vaccination? Look at your local hospital. Ask a local ER doctor. Dr. Tom Benzoni, an Iowa emergency room physician, told an editorial writer about a man who came to the hospital last week because he was struggling to breathe. The patient was old enough to have been eligible for a coronavirus vaccine in February, but he didn't want one. He said he didn't believe in them. His body certainly disagreed. The man tested positive for COVID-19. His oxygen level was low. His lungs sounded wet and sticky. He was admitted to the hospital while his wife sat nearby, looking sad. It's really difficult seeing people struggle to breathe, Benzoni said. It's double difficult knowing it was likely preventable. It's triple difficult watching the family members suffer. Benzoni said he cannot imagine what people who refuse vaccinations are thinking. I cannot begin to understand the mental gymnastics one has to do to create coherence between one's present suffering and one's denial of the possibility of one's current state. If some people need to continue to deny this nightmare of a pandemic and the efficacy of vaccines, they should do it while getting in line for a COVID vaccination, Benzoni said. The vast majority of Americans want to be vaccinated. Some of us counted the days until we were eligible. We spent hours online and on the phone trying to book appointments. We hovered near pharmacies, hoping to land an extra dose, waiting in lines, and we took selfies during our shots. And were baffled, often offended by those who refuse vaccinations and try to discredit them. While vaccine deniers unnecessarily risk their lives, some Americans who desperately wanted the shots died while waiting for them, according to recent reporting from the Associated Press. One woman, an Air Force veteran, was dying at a hospital center when the phone rang. It was a healthcare worker calling to schedule her first appointment for a coronavirus shot. There was the story of Charlotte Crawford, who was fully immunized in January because her work in a hospital laboratory made her eligible. Yet her husband and 2 adult children were not eligible. All 3 contracted COVID-19 and died. There was the 73-year-old man who was very excited to get a shot and received it in early January. He tested positive for the virus and died less than 2 weeks before he was eligible for his second dose, which is needed for more comprehensive protection. COVID-19 vaccines work. They save lives. Inoculations have helped halt deadly outbreaks in long-term care facilities where residents were among the first people inoculated. The Navajo Nation, which had one of the worst coronavirus case rates in the country, has gained control of the virus. After a peak of 250 new coronavirus cases daily in November, it recently averaged about 11 new cases a day, and deaths dropped significantly. It's no coincidence that promising developments come as more than half the residents living on tribal lands are fully vaccinated. All Iowans are now eligible for shots. Getting one will keep this virus from sending you to the emergency room or the morgue. I know I've had my 2 shots, and they are Moderna shots, and my daughter, who's a nurse practitioner at a local hospital, got the early news, and she signed us up, and we went right over, and we were apprehensive, but we were anxious, and we got our shot. First one, no problem, didn't even feel it. Then the second one, 2 weeks later, a little bit more sore, a little bit more of a bump, a little bit more lethargic, kind of crapped out the second day, but now feeling good, feeling psychologically lifted. Our self-esteem is boosted because we feel protected. We're still isolating at home, but we feel protected. My word, get the vaccine. Do not hesitate. Save yourself, save other people. So, this is Jim Stordahl. You can contact me at Stordahl, STORDAHL, .james@gmail.com. And we'll be talking to you again real soon. Bye-bye.